So when you present your offer up front, you should be sitting and saying, here's my core offer or my primary offer. Below that, I have my downsell offer. Above that, I have my upsell offer. And then beside that, I have my cross-sell offer. Welcome back to the Prospecting Show, where each week we talk about tips, tricks, and methods for growing an amazing small business pipeline. I'm your host, Dr. Connor Robertson, and on this podcast, you can expect segments on communication, sales, prospecting, and closing. Thank you to everyone who has supported my 100 episodes and 100 days goal going into 2020. Enjoy the show. The question really comes down to the offer that you have right now and that offer that you're going to be sending out to your audience in the future. Most companies that we are working with right now have one primary offer and don't really have any way to go beyond that. And the reason I say that that's super important to get that offer locked down is because if you don't know what your primary offer is, there's almost no chance you're going to have an upsell, a downsell, or a cross-sell offer. And so you really have to hone in on what that primary offer is and what the value point is with that particular service or product. In our case, our primary standard offer is our LinkedIn prospecting and email sequence service. And so that service is kind of our standard run-of-the-mill. It's a service that gets the best result. It's not the most expensive service and it's not the cheapest service, but it's our standard core offer that we have for our business. And the reason that we offer it that way is because it's a good mix of price and value. So your primary offer in your business, if you have a service, should be that thing that's in the mid-level. It should not be your best service that's the most expensive, and it should not be your low-end kind of corner-cutting service that you have as another option. If you're in the product space, this should be your staple, highest volume purchase product that's out there. So whatever product sells the highest volume year after year or month after month, and maybe that would change over time, just like in the service space. But your primary offer should be that one that's got the highest volume, not necessarily the one that's the most profitable or the least profitable or the most expensive or least expensive, but it should be the one that individuals look at and they say, yeah, that's really good value for price. So let's kind of take a little move over to price and value for a second here, because I think that's an interesting concept that everybody says they understand, but at the end of the day, you see it time and time again when people sell something, there's a big mismatch between the price and value. So the price is really the dollar amount that something's set at, and the value is the perceived cost of what that item would be. So for example, the value of a car might be it might be worth $25,000, but the price of that car used might be $10,000. Well, someone might look at that and say, well, if I spend $10,000, I'm getting a $25,000 car. Now that would be lower price than the value, so that would be a good deal. And if you took that to the extremes, it's even easier to understand, right? If you have a car that's normally $25,000 and you tell someone it's free or it costs $1, there's a very low price and a very high value, so they're going to do that deal every time. But if you take that same $25,000 car and say it's now a $100,000 price tag, the price is extremely high at $100,000 and the value of the car is only $25,000. So you have to look at every product, service, and offering that you have in your business and decide what is the price and what is the value. If the price is currently higher than the value, you either need to do one of two things. You either need to lower the price or you need to add something to it, either the product or the service, to create more value. Typically speaking, it's harder to add value in a product than it is a service, because in the service space, you can add on extra features, you can add on other elements. In the product space, you usually have to create another whole product, which is very expensive. So in the product space, if you have a price value mismatch, you probably just need to change your price. That's kind of the way it should go. Now, if you look at services specifically, you got to talk about, is it a one-time service? It's a one-time kind of hit, or is it a recurring service where you're supporting a business long-term in the case of like software licensing or done for you service, and say, what does that recurring revenue look like over time to make sure that everybody's really happy and you're really exchanging price and value? Go to the marketplace and look at your competitors. For a lot of the services that we offer, there's really not anybody that's directly correlated to the services that we're offering, but most people are charging $1,500 per sales rep or per seat. in the space that we're in terms of marketing. So if you have an executive that wants to do marketing for their business, it's going to cost you $1,500 a seat. Our service starts at $499 per seat. So we're definitely cheaper than that, but we have a more scaled model so that a whole sales team or a whole organization can get on board with us and be profitable. So that's kind of our standard offer. Then you can transition into those three options, right? The upsell, the downsell, and the cross-sell. The upsell is typically something that's a higher ticket item. So in the case of our business here with the business-to-business prospecting, the upsell that we have in a lot of cases is a full consulting arrangement, which is a retained service. So that's like if you want strategy around how you're doing sales, if you want more than just the business-to-business service, then you can get that with our consulting agreement. Now, it's not that there's higher or lower margins with the consulting, it's just that it's a different service and it's very time intensive and very labor intensive. And so because of that, what ends up happening is we have to charge more just because there's more labor hours involved. The downsell offer that we have in our system for the prospecting is what we call prospecting light. And essentially what that is we do business to business prospecting. We take all the leads and all that, put it into a CRM, but we don't do the automatic follow-up. Because there's a lot of labor that's involved with that automatic email follow-up sequence, we're able to trim that back and say, listen, if you don't want to pay our $499 price, we have another option for you. But just keep in mind that there's going to be less features, right? So our price is going to come down, but at the same time, our value is going to be coming down because we have less included. The last piece is the cross-sell offer. This is a really strange in our business, but if we talk about all businesses as a whole, the cross-sell offer is usually something that's totally different than the primary offer, and it could be in a different vertical or horizontal. In our case, we have shipping and fulfillment and warehousing as a solution for a lot of small businesses, and because of that, the cross-sell offer for somebody who's coming to us with their product for consulting or for business-to-business expansion or web development or SEO, we can cross-sell that against our warehouse and say, we have warehousing services if that's something you're interested in. So the cross-sell is really something that is a curveball and kind of out in left field, but at the same time, if you offer it to people, they might not know that you have that service, so it's definitely worthwhile doing it. So when you present your offer up front, you should be sitting and saying, here's my core offer or my primary offer. Below that, I have my downsell offer. Above that, I have my upsell offer. And then beside that, I have my cross-sell offer. And if you don't have those kind of pieces to it, the core, the upsell, the downsell, and the cross-sell, if they say no to your core product, the issue is going to be is that you have no direction to go for the upsell, downsell, or cross-sell. So I always recommend you have a few different options and also allow people to transition. Maybe they want to do a downsell to start and then you're going to do a cross-sell. So they're going to say, well, I don't want your primary $499 service. We want your light service. So we're going to take that to start. Then later you can upsell them to get to your core level service, and then you can cross-sell them into something else. And then at the end, you can upsell them into the last feature. That is an easy way to kind of dance around between them. But at the end of the day, you have to create the long-term value. That's what it all comes back to. What is the price of your service versus what is the value of your service? Because it's very difficult in the service space to have a value change, I recommend you set that up front and then move your pricing around as needed. In the product space, you can upsell to another actual physical product, or you can have an add-on to the existing product you have, which is essentially creating more value for a lower price. So maybe you have a $1,000 product and you have a $1,000 add-on. That's the value of it, is a $1,000 add-on, but it only costs them $250 to do that. So you can say, listen, you're getting $1,000 worth of value. You're going to spend $250 to upgrade your $1,000 original product. So essentially, they're getting the $1,000 core offer plus the $1,000 upsell, but they're only spending $1,250, right? So it's a good deal for them in that particular case. In the service space, it's a little harder to demonstrate that sometimes because the services might be totally different or they might not be linked at all to the core product offering. So you just have to be careful with how you cross-sell and how you present the pricing, because at the end of the day, you want price integrity across the board, and you want to make sure that people have the opportunity to go for the higher end upsell, the lower end downsell, or the vertical shift to a cross-sold item that can still support their business. Make sure you're selling the right product to the right person or the right service to the right person, but also make sure that your pricing structure is set for growth in the future, especially if you're working with small businesses. If you are believing in what they're doing, they're going to grow over time. Make sure you have an opportunity for those small businesses to grow with you and have more of your service over time at a rate that's sustainable and growth oriented for them. Thanks so much for listening to the Prospecting Show. Have an awesome day.